Big time featured prelim coming our way. We have the Pitbull, the former UFC heavyweight champ, former Affliction fighter, Andrei Arlovski, taking on Team Cowbond's Tom Aspinall. Matt, we've been ranting and raving about Tom Aspinall since before he made his UFC debut. And again, with Team Cowbond, you have Darren Till, you have Mike Grundy, you have the Tom Aspinall. And Tom Aspinall is a guy with a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background. He's been a teacher for a very long time, or an instructor of Jiu-Jitsu. And it's like he has that in his back pocket and doesn't even touch it because he took time off from his busy MMA and jiu-jitsu career to become a boxer. And who does he train with? Well, it's not like Joe from down the road or your local celebrity. It's Tyson friggin' Fury. Like, how insane is that? It's Tyson friggin' Fury. And if you watch Tom Aspinall fight, you don't see a lot of heavyweights with A, the confidence, or B, the swagger that this guy has in striking. Very, very high guard. Now, it's not like a tie stance because he keeps both of his feet nice and low, but he's very nimble. Like, he walks in a different manner than most heavyweights do. Again, you see Andrei Arlovski, he moves around fairly...
Would you say he moves in mysterious ways?
He moves in mysterious ways, but he's fairly, not flat-footed, but flat-footed. You watch his fight with Tanner Boser. Boser's in and out, Boser's in and out. And Arlovski won that fight because of a couple of harder shots than the ones that Tanner Boser threw. And I'll take it to my grave that I scored that fight for Tanner Boser. But the fact of the matter is, Aspinall has some footwork and striking that we just don't normally see out of most heavyweights. And again, we talk at length about the fights that he had before he came into the UFC. The loss to Lukasz Porobiec where he had an illegal 12-6 elbow. He's like John Jones. The wins that he had, maybe they weren't the best or the greatest
Alain Baudot
wins.
was a monster, Craig.
Alain Baudot, great fighter. But you look at Tom Aspinall's win. Jake Collier, first-round knockout. Alain Baudot, first-round knockout. And again, just like we said with Chandler when he went to fight Dan Hooker, he's winning the fights against guys you would hope he would beat in ways that you would hope he would. He was supposed to be taking on Sergey Spivak back in October. Spivak fell out, so he got Alain Baudot. And Matt, we tossed a lot of shade Alain Baudot's way because he had a salty salt record, but he was an MMA Factory guy, so you knew there was a connection with Cyril Gahn and Fernand Lopez. So in this one, you have Tom Aspinall, great boxer, taking on career resurgent, great boxer, and Andrei Arlovski, a guy who's gotten more technical with age. We've seen a guy representing American Top Team, and that's going to be a story. From here on out, it's like almost an American Top Team fighter in every single fight. So for Arlovski, his last two wins, his 2020 was great. He beat Felipe Lins, the former PFL millionaire, and then he beat Tanner Boser. So you look at that fight, Arlovski was a pretty big underdog at about plus 305. Again, I know I took Boser. I still think he won the fight.
Stop. That fight was terrible and nothing happened. No one deserved to win.
But in this fight, it should be a very interesting one because I don't expect Tom Aspinall to be hesitant whatsoever. Unless Andrei Arlovski, like, there was a poster of Arlovski on Aspinall's wall growing up, and, like, he completely idolized Andrei Arlovski and wanted to be a fighter because of Andrei Arlovski, then maybe Tom Aspinall's not the greatest guy to pick. But, man, I like Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, I'm not going to use an L word that I've used in the past, but I really like Tom Aspinall in this fight. And here's the thing for Andrei Arlovski. He's had 75 different stages of his career, but I always remember that losing streak that he had that started with Stipe and kind of ended with Francis Ngannou. And then he sort of had his first career resurgence where, he's not really sitting down on his shots. He's more of a volume striker. And then we have seen him lose a few fights since then. Of course, the Jairzinho Rosen strike where he just got absolutely torched with one punch. But the last two wins have been nice. And really, we can open it up, even go back as far to the Junior Albini fight and the Stefan Struve fight. I look at that Stefan Struve fight, and it's an interesting fight because no, Stefan Struve's not a top UFC heavyweight. I don't really think he ever was, although he retired today, so I should probably say something nice about him. Good dog, Stefan. Andrei Arlovski wrestled Struve a lot in that fight, and we never really seen Andrei Arlovski wrestle at all up until that point in his career, and he took Struve down 3, it might have even been 4 times in that fight, and it's interesting when you see a fighter show a wrinkle that they've never really showed up until that point in their career. And for Arlovski, listen, no one even thinks about wrestling when they bring up Andrei Arlovski, but it's a skill that he has, he just doesn't always show it. Kind of like Aspinall we mentioned with his jiu-jitsu. Now, Aspinall has that black belt jiu-jitsu. He is phenomenal on the ground. But we don't see any of it. Arlovski will threaten a little bit with the wrestling, especially as he's gotten older, because you had mentioned his striking's gotten more technical, but I would say his fight IQ has gotten better as he has aged. And for Arlovski at this point in his career, it's really easy. Do you have enough power to knock him out, or is he going to beat you by a unanimous decision? It's as easy as that. He does have great volume at this point in his career. He doesn't put a lot behind his shots because I think Arlovski realizes he's a little bit older. He's not getting as many knockouts. He's not even really stunning guys anymore. I can just win via volume and via experience more than anything. Aspinall's different, though, because I don't see Tom Aspinall as being one of those guys who's going to go in there and try to get Arlovski out in that first minute, and, if I don't do that, then I'm just going to kind of be on an island, and he's going to be able to out-volume me. For Aspinall, you do have that one-punch knockout power, but you can set up your big shots with your combinations. You don't have to go out there just hoping to land a big right hand or a big overhand shot. You can work behind your jab. You can stay technical throughout the fight. And honestly, if I'm Aspinall, I would do the reverse to Arlovski as what he's been doing to his opponents lately. I'd wait. I'd be as patient as possible. You don't have to worry about the power coming back your way, so you can stand on the outside a little bit with Arlovski and download his game plan. Because with a guy like Aspinall, if you are training with the Tyson Furies of the world, with high-level boxers, you're going to be able to sort of download and at least learn the game plan of Arlovski a little bit throughout that first round. And if Aspinall does, just play this fight smart, wait on the outside a little bit, wait for the openings that Arlovski will give you. I see this being another first-round knockout for old Tom Aspinall.
And again, for Tom Aspinall, the Baudot fight, first-round finish. Jake Collier, first-round finish. Mikel Ben Hamoda, first round. Sofiane Bukichu, first-round finish. Kamil Baziak, first round finish. Like, all of his wins, first round, they're all first round finishes. So you can go all the way through it. His losses, I mean, again, Lukasz Perobic, 12-6 elbow, and he got caught in a heel hook by Stuart Austin. And Stuart Austin back at Bama in 2015, who ended with a 15-6 total record. He's only 32 years old. He just beat Satoshi Ishii. So maybe Stuart Austin is a guy that we need to watch. Maybe I'm going to go watch some Stuart Austin tape after this. But for Tom Aspinall, again, jiu-jitsu in his back pocket, incredibly cerebral boxer. We've seen that. Again, I mentioned the footwork, but his combinations are very, very high level. And this is a guy that a lot of people are putting in the same respect as the Cyril Gons. I know Bozer, before the Arlovski fight, was kind of up there as well, even though he just lost the decision to Gon. But there's a lot of young up-and-comers at heavyweight. Tom Aspinall's in that same breath, only 27 years old. So if you look at the Tapology votes, again, fairly one-sided here. 859 total votes, 73% Aspinall, 83% by knockout. If you look at the odds, Tom Aspinall opened a minus 275 favorite, now at a minus 254. And for Arlovski, open a plus 235, now to plus 202. So the money's coming in on Arlovski ever so slightly. The fans are going with Tom Aspinall. Matt, who are you going with here?
I like Aspinall in this one. I like him a lot, too. For Arlovski, this is one of those classic fights where it seems like Arlovski could pull off a big upset and win a fight by decision. I just think the power and the hand speed of Aspinall will eventually crack the chin of Arlovski. And for Arlovski, we've been talking about this for a while. He is an old heavyweight, but he's been an old heavyweight for the last 10 years. He knows how to win fights, but I just think Aspinall is that next step in the heavyweight division. I think he's too tactical. I think he's too fast, and I think Aspinall's the next big thing.
If you look at Andrei Arlovski, too, the fight against Felipe Lins, that was at a fight night back in May, which was held in Jacksonville. They used a full-size cage in that one. The fight against Tanner Boser was in Vegas. That one's a smaller cage. You have a smaller cage in this one. So, you know, he's been able to get it done either way. And in the fight against Boser, too, what was the common theme in that one? Well, Boser just threw leg kicks, and that was pretty much it. And Arlovski was able to crack him with the hands to the point where it happened late in the rounds, and you can sway the opinion, too, with that.
That's not what happened in that fight, Craig.
Yes, it was. So if you go and you want to make a pick on this one, I'm going with Tom Aspinall as well. Again, I like the combinations. I like the power. I would be interested to see, most interested, if this fight goes into the second round and this fight goes into the third round, how it's going. Because for Tom Aspinall, the story's been first round finish, every winner first round finish. So we'll have to see what happens, but we're both going with England's Tom Aspinall to bring the win back to the boys at Team Cowbon with Mike Grundy and Darren Till. I'm looking forward to this fight. We've got a big heavyweight fight on the main card. You've got Andrei Arlovski taking on Tom Aspinall here, but then after that, you have Alexei Oleinik taking on a really tough out Chris Daukaus. So some interesting movers and shakers, maybe trying to take out the old guard of the division, and a great card with Lewis and Blaydes in the main events. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, Matt, as we always say.
Let's get into it.